morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today we need to talk about Detective Pikachu and the promo you really should have picked up when you had the chance, because it is unfortunately starting to get a little bit silly. And look, I've been on record as saying this is one of the absolute coolest promos that we've had basically ever at this stage. It is a fantastic promo. It's got great artwork by Minami Take. It's awesome. I adore it. And it's got Detective Pikachu riding on a Growlithe. How cool is that? It's extremely cool. That's how cool it is. It is extremely cool. Here's the thing, okay? That came out in Japan with Detective Pikachu Returns. You pre-order, it was an early purchase bonus. So it wasn't actually a pre-order bonus if we're being pedantic. It was an early purchase bonus, which is a very similar thing. The difference is a pre-order bonus, you have to pre-order. An early purchase bonus, you basically, well, as the name might suggest, you have to get in early. You don't have to be there like the second it drops, but you do have to be there not that long after, because it is going to disappear. Essentially, what usually happens with stuff like this is that they put it in the first X number of cases, and then essentially after that, you're out of luck. And there was a point where this was really just quite readily available in Japan, and that was lovely. And I know there are a bunch of people that have been hedging and going, well, you know what, Wassy, you know what? It's not going to be that expensive, it's going to come out in English, etc. Now, the good news is there is actually a Chinese version of this promo. And if you pick up the Chinese version of this promo, it is actually significantly cheaper. We'll get to this in a minute. There is a cheaper Chinese version available. So if you really want to pick up a version and you're not terribly fussed about it being a Japanese version, you just want a version of this card, there is a Chinese version available. And honestly, one of the reasons I wanted to do this video now while I've got an opportunity to do so is because the Chinese version is cheap. Like, this is a video where I'm saying, oh mate, you really should have picked up the Japanese version when you had the chance. And I know for a lot of people, it's just way too late to pick up the Japanese version. And that's a bit sad. And for what it's worth, I do think the Japanese version is the coolest. But what I will say is, at least for the time being, the Chinese version is like less than half of the Japanese version. So you know what? It is still available out there. But we'll talk more about the Chinese version in a minute. So it's an early purchase bonus that came out in this game in Japan. And that's lovely. And now it is becoming quite expensive. It's getting to the point now where picking it up for less than $35, it's just not happening, honestly. This is a $35 card, if you're lucky. You can pick this up for $35. Generally, it's a little bit higher. And here's the problem. It's only going to keep going up from here. It's not like this card is magically going to become massively available. Like, here's one of the ones on the screen is $36 and they've sold 173. And I hate to break it to you, but if that was a massive rip-off, people wouldn't be paying that for it. That is evidently a reasonable price, a decent price, and you know what? There were plenty of opportunities to pick this up at source and actually find yourself in a much better position. Now, it is actually, as it stands at the moment, still available on Amazon Japan. All right? It is still there. There's actually 3 different versions. You can buy the game on Amazon Japan really cheaply. But if you want it with the card, you got to pay, well, literally more than double. There's then a 3rd version of it where you also get like a cardboard box and a little plastic like damage counter case, which is lovely. But yeah. The bad news is if you're trying to buy this from Amazon, you're going to end up paying a whole bunch in postage as well. So yes, it might be a 5,700 yen product, which is good, But the problem is, if you try and actually get this shipped to you, you're going to be spending a fair amount on postage. You're going to be paying like another 3,000-4,000 yen of postage, depending on where you are. That is not an ideal situation. And frankly, what you're paying for the promo now is really what you should have paid for the game with the promo. It's about how much I paid for the game with the promo, but I was very much in, oh my goodness, that's amazing, I must have this as soon as possible camp. Not everybody agreed with me, and unfortunately, as time has gone by, all that's happening is this is just going up and going up and going up. I saw plenty of people selling this on Facebook significantly cheaper around about the time this was released, but that time has gone. There was actually a possibility of buying it for a reasonable price over on the Pokémon Center Japan, and it not only came with the promo card, which is extremely cool, it also came with a little fluffy Pikachu, which was kind of lovely, and it actually still does. Also, there's some other free stuff you get apparently if you buy it from the Pokemon Center nowadays. I'm going to tell you now, it's not always the cheapest or easiest thing getting it from the Pokemon Center, but remember, I do have that partnership going on with Shippen. Shippen.com, use the promo code PTCGRadio15 to save 15% on shipping, and you can actually still get it with the card and the little Pikachu model and whatever the other stuff is. So it is actually still available. And like I say, this is one of the reasons I wanted to make the video now. Because rather than just make the video going, now it's a $60 promo, now it's a $70 promo, now it's an $80 promo, you all missed out. I'm saying, buying the promo on its own from resellers, that time is basically gone. You're paying $35 now if you're lucky. That's not a great bargain. But it is still available on Amazon, although it's a bit of a pain. And it is still available on the Pokemon Center, although it is a little bit of a pain. But it is also available as a Chinese card. And if you're willing to go down the Chinese route, yeah, it's actually significantly cheaper. You can get it with free shipping for like, well, here's a couple in a row, one for $18, one for $13.50. If you want the Chinese version, it's actually not terrible. Now, it's the same basic card, but it's just in the Chinese language. So it's up to you whether that's good enough for you. For me, I really wanted a Japanese version. That was important to me. I now have the Japanese version, and I'm delighted. But I know for a lot of people that don't really care, my advice to you would be get the Chinese version and get it fairly soon. Because this is a very cool promo. It's a promo that a lot of people are not going to have in their collection. And frankly, time is running out. It's already getting really awkward to pick up the Japanese version, but you can still go and buy the game with the promo if you're willing to jump through a couple of hoops. And I've told you about that here. The Chinese version is actually pretty cheap and readily available. And might I suggest you go and have a look at that one if it's just the card you're interested in and you don't mind about the language. But I know a lot of people are holding out for an English version of this card, and look, I can't say one way or the other. Of course, there is a chance that we do get an English version of this. I would really not rely on it, though. It's possible, it's absolutely possible. But here's the thing, right? Detective Pikachu Returns, the game, has been out for a little while. We don't have the promo. In both Japan and in China, this was released as a promo when you bought the game. Not only does it have the stamp of the game on it, which is a pretty big deal, but it's clearly artwork from the game. It is clearly linked into the game. And you would think by now that if we were getting it, we'd probably already have it. I am willing to bet at this point that it's just not happening. I would love to be wrong about this. I would absolutely love to be wrong about this. I just don't think that's the case. Sorry. I mean, think back to this amazing Mystery Dungeon promo. I love this Mystery Dungeon promo. It's amazing. Go find an English version of it for me, would you? I'm going to ruin the surprise, although you probably could have guessed where I was going with this. No, obviously we never got an English version of it. That was never going to happen. And it's not happening here. So look, my advice to you is, you probably should already have picked this up if you were going to. But if you still want it, there are a couple of things you can do. Buying it from Japan with the game if you're willing to jump through the hoops. Buying a Chinese version, which is a little bit cheaper. Or if you have to, like I say, I'm not saying it's not going to go down in price. Obviously, it could go down in price. But I don't think the Japanese version is going anywhere anytime soon. Hey-ho. But for now, I want to know what you think about this. Have you picked up this promo? Have you gone for it yet? Is it something you're interested in? Or is it just a skip from you? Let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. Oh, and get shout-outs on the channel, like the lovely Martin Cornwall, who's been a big advocate of this whole project of mine since it was a weekly podcast back in 2012. So shout out to Martin for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.